Lots to talk about today, including, of course, the government are now finally agreeing with everybody else in the country that it's not working very well. It's time to start again. Only they're giving us until Thursday to wait for the new change plan, which is now apparently not change. It's a plan for change.
Well, yeah, I mean, this is relaunch after relaunch. I mean, 14 weeks in, Mike, it does sound all a bit desperate, really. And also, some of those big pledges that they made before dropped. I mean, I don't know where you are, but, I mean, I remember them having missions. I remember having some pledges before the election. I do remember some vague promises about making us the fastest-growing economy in the G7. And all I think we've seen since then is us actually go from the fastest-growing economy in the G7 before the general election to now growth being totally anaemic, after Rachel Reeves absolutely trashed the entire private sector with those massive national insurance increases at the budget, which are hitting businesses and even charities in constituencies like mine, but across the country as well. Yeah,
well, CBI now saying it could be as many as 125,000 jobs that are lost as a result of all of these budget changes, which is unforgivable. I mean, they've taken what was a relatively good economy in June and completely and utterly driven it off a cliff.
Well, you're absolutely right. Look, between 2010 and 2024, we didn't get everything right, but one of the things we did do very well was we saw 4 million more people in work at the end of that period than at the start of it. With Labour's plans, these are actual plans which are going to see unemployment increase across the country. When I was in the House of Commons last week, I asked Liz Kendall directly, I said, when it comes down to it, are you going to be able to actually provide these jobs for people and be the first Labour employment secretary to leave unemployment actually lower when you leave office than when you started? And she couldn't give me that reassurance, because every single majority Labour government in history has left unemployment higher. And I'm absolutely convinced that with policies like this, we're going to see the same over and over again, which is why this week on Wednesday we'll be putting some votes in Parliament to make sure that Labour are going to be held to account on this, and also that family farm tax.
They seem to be incapable of being held to account at the moment, though, because they keep continually kind of flip-flopping around and saying one thing and doing another. You know, this idea that we're going to have all this growth as one of their main flagship policies, which has now disappeared. You know, we've got 20,000 migrants having come here since they've been in July. We've got more hotels being commandeered by them when they said that we were going to actually reduce the number. It seems as though every single place you look, they're doing the complete opposite of what they said they would do.
No, it does. It is right across the board, and I wonder if that's what we're going to reset. Maybe his reset's just going to be a total reversal of everything he said before. We just don't know at the moment. These are really serious questions that the government are facing. You know, we've still got questions hanging over the Chancellor of the Exchequer, over, you know, her CV, especially after the potential, we don't know, dishonesty of the former Transport Secretary. You know, we don't even know in that situation what Keir Starmer knew and when. Right. We've got real questions hanging over the integrity of this government at the same time as they're trying to do a relaunch. I think, you know, maybe they should be taking one thing at a time, and it's about time for Sir Keir Starmer to come clear on some of those issues before he starts to try and have a think about other stuff where he's just going to fail again. I'm really worried. The more I speak to my constituents, the more, you know, I was out there this weekend, and the fear that I get on the high street from small business owners, from some of those workers who are going to see their pay squashed down because of this new national insurance rise, from those small hoteliers, and particularly those in the hospitality sector who are seeing a sort of double whammy of business rates going through the roof, and also seeing those national insurance rises at the same time. People are really, really worried out there. This is not what they were promised before the election, and it's come to unravel incredibly quickly, Mike.
Yeah, and meanwhile, Angela Rayner pictures herself yesterday over in Spain, delighted to see Prime Minister Pedro Sanchez and Foreign Minister Alvarez in Seville. Now, it was only last week she was over in the Vatican meeting the Pope, so I presume she's on some kind of world tour, is she?
Well, it does feel a little bit like that. It feels a bit like Eva Perón's European tour at the moment from the Deputy Prime Minister. Look, I can understand why she wouldn't want to be here with Calamity Keir in number 10 as everything that they promised during the election unravels. But there is a lot for her to be doing, particularly with that brief that she's got around housing and local government. You know, we keep hearing about major local government reforms apparently going to be announced today. We keep hearing about these mythical housing targets where they're cutting, actually, targets for here in London for for Mayor Khan, but actually increasing them dramatically across the rest of the southeast and across the rest of the country. So there's, you know, I think there's a lot for her to be doing, and if I was her, I'd be thinking about trying to get on with some delivery, especially when you're seeing this new government failing on whether it comes to growth, tackling illegal migration. There's real questions today raised in some of the newspapers over their proposals for the NHS. You know, there's a lot of questions there.
There really are, and apparently the 1.5 million new homes in England, which is Angela Rayner's pet project, has been described this morning as unrealistic and impossible to achieve. Maybe that's why she's in Spain doing something else. But listen, great to talk to you, Richard. Thank you very much indeed, Richard Holden.